This week on the Modified Minute.
Yeah, I think I said it in my interview. I think I said, you don't want to be standing on a podium on day one because then you got nothing to look forward to. But we did have a pretty good start to this season, and I loved that I had such a great start, but I wouldn't have minded a worse start. You know what I mean? It's hard to live up to.
Being on the tour is great. It's just like it's a dream for us racers, us modified racers in Connecticut, but especially in New England. Just that's kind of like our Cup Series.
Every Saturday night, I'd ask for the night off. I go to Riverside. I'm going to races. So that's where I got the itch. And when I went into the park and I seen modifieds and I heard them, I was like, I'm either owning one or driving one.
All that plus Hot Dog of the Week, radio replay, and either or. So tighten those belts because this week's Modified Minute is next. They're called the Mod Squad. Ground pounders. The men that live by the grace of God and 600 horsepower.
Here they come to the stripe, down to the finish, checkered flag in the air.
Monsignor up the hill, here comes Salamito to the inside. Here comes John Beatty Jr.
And off the corner, to the line they come.
This is the Modified Minute. Go inside the world of modified racing with Jack Arute. Modified Minute is brought to you by Waddell Communications, the official trackside radio supplier for the Mod Squad. By Mid-State Site Development, Safety, Knowledge, and Innovation. By Wheeler's Auto Services, the finest in top-level service of premier automobile makes and models. By Hummel Brothers Quality Meats, 100% quality since 1933. By Riverhead Building Supply, build smarter, build better. By Mr. Reuter Plumbing, expert plumbing contractors you can trust. By Sign Pro, exceeding your expectations. And by Ferguson Contractors, building excellence since 1925. Here's Jack.
Appreciate you stopping by to catch up on this week's Modified Minute episode. The guest list is an eclectic assembly of rookies, veterans, and tackling new challenges. Vinny Rappoccio drops in. He's a rookie in the SK Lights at the Waterford Speedbowl, but already he has flexed his muscles, scoring second-place finishes in both races run thus far this season. Andrew Molleur has been turning left since the age of 13, and this season he's stepping up to the Whelen Modified Tour. He explains why it's a step that he's dreamed about since he started following his father around modified paddocks at the ripe old age of 6. And John Rafano swings by and explains how he got hooked on modifieds when a teenager named Keith Rocco knocked on his auto repair shop looking for sponsorship help to start his modified racing career. But before we dive into the guest list, I want to welcome two brand new sponsors to the show. The first is Sign Pro and the Rappoccio family. They're the new sponsors of the championship chases. And the other is Vinny Beetle and Mr. Reuter. They've taken over the either or segment. I hope that you'll support them along with all of my other sponsors. But enough of that. We need to get you up to speed with this week's action.
Time to get you up to speed in the modified world. Up to Speed is brought to you by Mid-State Site Development. Mid-State. Safety. Knowledge and innovation.
The action kicked off Friday night at the Stafford Motor Speedway with the SK Lights, and it came down to double green-white checkers and a turn 3 bonsai move.
Here's the green.
And they race into the first turn. It's Robert Bloxham that's ahead of Tyler Berry. And here goes Spinkbein taking a peek to the bottom. Under Bloxham coming off of turn 2, right on the back bumper as they head into 3.
All right, can we get to the white flag and then ultimately the checker? Bloxham leads. Spinkbein is there. Anglace dives right to the bottom, challenging for second. Berry, Amanda West, and Chris Matthews tight bunch to turn 1.
Anglaise finds his way to the inside, and that's all Bloxham needs to see, but Anglaise is clear for second spot, closing in on Bloxham with 2 turns to go.
Finkbein settles back in the line in third. Here comes Anglaise. He goes up the hill. Finkbein goes to the inside. It will be a victory for Jason Finkbein in what an incredible run to the wire.
Oh, this is awesome. We stayed up till midnight almost all week, and I got a great crew, man. I couldn't ask for a better crew, and this is awesome.
Then it was the annual Casella Waste 80 for the SKs and leg number 1 of the Sign Pro $20,000 Triple Crown.
Here they come. Double greens are flying. We are up to speed here at Stafford.
Narduccio looks to the bottom, stays in line. The Stampede make their way into 3. It's Reen that has the lead. It's in line while Julio looks for the top spot.
Julio dives to the inside. Car number 7. First lead change happens on lap number 2.
Trouble back straight away. A couple of cars come together in 3. Green flag is back out. Outside lane gets a little bit of a jump. Glenn Reen by a nose to turn 1.
But they remain even through 1 and 2. Reen does have a run coming off the corner. Just about there's Julio as they head to 3. Reen gets the lead back. Julio goes after Reen for the lead again. Narducci down to the apron, pulls even with Julio, takes the lead.
The green is out and we are racing. Julio is a problem on the start.
Oh, trouble. Marfrano out of shape, and it's going to collect a bunch of cars in the second half of the field here on the front straightaway. That started toward the front and accordioned its way all the way to the back. Better start for Jonathan Julio this time as they go to the corner. Looking for his first win in over a year, first of 2026 as he comes off of turn number 4. Checkered flag is out and Jonathan Julio wins the Casella Waste SK80 tonight.
I was starting to think we weren't going to win a race. You know, it's been a long time. I think it's been since April last year, and to come here and win a big race like this means a lot more than just winning a regular race, and just really happy to get these beautiful Sign Pro Casella trophies to North Branford, Connecticut.
At the New London Waterford Speedbowl, Nick Hovey took down the win, the first of his career at that Shoreline Oval. At the Riverhead Raceway Saturday night, Chase Grennan won the 50-lapper. It was Grennan's 5th win at the Bull Ring. And then, of course, the weekend curtain closer was the return of the Whelen Modified Tour to the Oxford Plains Speedway, where an 18-car field raced it out for 150 laps.
Here comes Kopsik back around. He'll lead lap number 1 as everybody tries to find their early footing here in this event. Kennedy working well right now in that outside lane on Stephen Kopsik, who has led the opening laps of this event, 8 so far. McKennedy noses out front, top of the racetrack off of turn number 4, and it looks like he may lead lap number 9 here. He does.
Caution flag is out. We're not sure. Possibly debris or something on the racetrack. We're not sure. We'll be checking on the cars as they come down. It is off the Beers number 64 car. John McKennedy is quiet, but not on the racetrack as he pulls away on the restart.
White flag is out. 1 lap to go. Jonathan McKennedy looking for the win in the Allstate Materials Group 150 at Oxford.
There's no question about it. He led the majority of the lap. He was the fastest car in practice, but the record books will show today's event. Now into the record books for the running here at Oxford Plains, and John McKennedy has taken him down the impressive victory. Amazing run for Tyler Ripken to finish in 2nd. Eric Udale will finish in 3rd.
After lap 80, I was actually hoping the race just went. I didn't want to have a pit stop and take the chance of, putting on tires, because sometimes cars are just different and there's a lot of variables. So I was content with the race going. The car was just absolutely awesome. It really was. All day it was a rocket ship. What can I say? It's great to be back here at Oxford. I enjoy racing here, and thanks to Tom Mayberry, everyone with NASCAR putting this event on. Awesome.
And now you are officially up to speed. With all the racing action last week, we need to look at the championship chases. And the new sponsor of this segment is Sign Pro.
Here's a look at the championship chases. Brought to you by Sign Pro, exceeding your expectations.
Jonathan McKennedy's win at the Oxford Plains Speedway moved him up in the standings from 5th to 3rd in the Whelen Modified Tour. Stephen Kopczyk has a slim margin over defending champion Austin Beers, with Eric Goodale and Patrick Emily rounding out the top 5. With his win in the Casella Waste 80, Jonathan Pulio sits in first in the Sign Pro Triple Crown at Stafford, followed by Michael Christopher Jr., Glenn Reen, Brian Narducci, and Keith Rocco. The next leg for the 20K Sign Pro Triple Crown is July 24th. Things remain the same in the modified tri-track series, with John McKennedy, Michael Christopher Jr., Patrick Emery, Jake Johnson, and Ronnie Williams filling out the top 5 slots. The tri-track series runs their second race at the Thompson Speedway on Wednesday, June 24th. And there's no change to the Smart Modified Tour standings as well, where Danny Bone is ahead of Ryan Newman, Jack Baldwin, Brandon Ward, and Burt Myers. The Smart Tour is off until their July 4th event at the Caraway Speedway. John Rafrano became enthralled with modified racing while he was a teenager working at a local garage. From there, he ended up becoming one of Stafford Speedway's top owners when he and Keith Rocco knocked down 58 SK victories, 3 track titles, and a national championship. He's still at it with his son Marcello, and he is the subject of this week's Crew Call.
Time to drop into the race shop and get the dope from the guys that twist the wrenches. It's Crew Call, brought to you by Ferguson Contractors, building excellence since 1925.
Well, John, I'm really happy that you agreed to join us here on the Modified Minute, because you have such a stellar record as a car owner, not only at Stafford Speedway, but across the modified racing community. How did you get started in the racing biz?
Well, I used to work at a gas station called Richie's Amico in West Haven, which was Richie Okasi used to own the 73 that used to run at Riverside Park. So I got the itch there with modifieds. So I'd work part-time, going to school back and forth, but every Saturday night I'd ask for the night off. I'd go to Riverside. I'm going to races. So that's where I got the itch. And when I went into the park and I seen modifieds and I heard them, I was like, I'm either owning one or driving one. Never had the opportunity to drive. Didn't have the crew. Didn't have the funds. And then it just, from there, I went to work for Greco's Auto Machine for George Greco. So I did some modified racing with him, and he ran the 21 late model up at Stafford there for a few years. So I helped him out and stuff. Then I kind of got away from it a little bit. Kind of went drag racing a little bit. And then when I ended up getting my own shop and everything, I always had that in the back of my head. I loved modified racing, and I always wanted to go modified racing. And I happened to be at the shop on a Saturday morning. Hopefully I wasn't going to be bothered, but I was with a knock at the door. And the knock at the door was Keith Rocco. And I said, geez, what does he want here? What's he doing here on a Saturday morning? So I always tell the story. He was a hungry kid, knew he wanted to be a modified driver, had it in his heart. He was soliciting sponsors up and down State Street. So he knocked on my door. So he came in, we shot the shit a little bit, this and that. And before you know it, I said, yeah, I'll help you out. So I started hanging with him again when he was driving the 78 for Poulin. And he's like, hey, Gene wants to retire next year. He goes, what do you think? I says, well, maybe I'll buy his equipment. He goes, yeah, he wants to sell everything. Well, make a long story short, we didn't go that route. I ended up buying a brand new Troyer. We went to upstate New York on a cold winter day. Jeff, his brother, me, and Keith, we drove up there, looked at the car, brand new piece. That's the piece we're getting. So we bought the car, and the rest was history.
Rocco in the inside, off the turn, they come to the line. Keith Rocco brings it down to the line. He'll take down the win.
And quite a history between the two of you. So many wins in the SK Modified division.
Yeah.
So much success. When you look back, does it surprise you at all that you guys clicked the way that you did?
Yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't surprise me because he knew what he wanted. I only provided the best equipment. To
Right.
me, it's either the best or nothing. I'm not going around. I'm not going to flounder at a racetrack. I'm going there to win races. He was an awesome driver, and everything just gelled perfect at that time. We had real good help with the cars. Everything was going perfect. As you know, ended up winning a national title. Between the three tracks and everything, I wasn't solely me, but with other.
You played a role in it, a major role. Yeah.
We did. Yes, I did. Yes. And then my son started, getting into we started racing go-karts with him when he was 8 years old. We just migrated from there. We just kept going and going and going. And then once he started getting to the SKs, I was just, I wanted to put all my effort into my son. Nothing against Keith. He was great. But it's just, I had to make a decision.
Hmm.
I didn't want to float two cars. My head wasn't there to help him. I needed to focus on one thing.
Well, and in that process, okay, not that people were surprised, but it provided the opportunity for Keith to develop the KRR concept.
Yeah, and he's doing well with it.
He's doing very well. But by the same token, you ended up making it a family affair, as all of us watched as Marcello matured and came up through the ranks. And I get a great deal of enjoyment seeing the two of you operating these days, because it's a true, at least as an outsider, John, it's a true illustration of a great father-son relationship.
It is. I really enjoy it. I love racing. He loves driving. He's gotten better and better and better.
Yeah.
This year, I think it clicked even better. I don't know if it's just because he and I are only, working on the car and we're communicating better, but he has a goal when he gets in the car. We have to be good.
What was it like for you? A sense of pride and accomplishment when he scored that victory a couple of weeks ago?
I knew it was going to come quick, because first race of the season, he was like that. This car has never been this good. He goes, this is, I seen it in him. He felt so confident with the car. He goes, listen, everything goes smooth. I think we can get one today. We can get the Sizzler. Then we had that mishap. Michael ended up blowing an engine, and we got caught up in that. But it's a racing deal. What are you going to do? Then we came back the next week. Car was just as good. I think we ended up finishing second or third that night. I forget. Come back just as consistent. Every week it's been the same. Even this week, car was real good. We just got caught up in that restart deal, but nothing you could do. It's a racing deal. It's the way it goes.
Is it a different feeling or a similar feeling to when you won all those races with Keith? The fact that it's your son and the fact that he grew up behind the wheel. I mean, we all kind of make fun of him nowadays, but when he was just a young teenager, I mean, he made all the typical teenage mistakes, but he kept at it. And there is, as you say, a level of maturity these days.
Yeah.
What about from your standpoint, with so much that you accomplished with Keith Rocco, including a national title, and now seeing your son come into his own?
He's like I said, he's definitely getting better and better. I think we're contenders every week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think wherever we go, we can be a contender. It's just everything has to be right.
Come a long way, my friend, from someone knocking at your door and saying, hey, listen, I'm looking for some sponsorship, and even a longer way from when you would hook Saturdays so that you could go to Riverside Park. So my question to you, John Rafano, is what lies ahead? What's on your bucket list that you want to accomplish?
I mean, win races, and I mean, everybody thinks about a championship, but we just want to win races.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. If it's there at the end, it's there. If it's not, if I win 5 races, 4 races, 3 races, if I win 2, I'm happy with that too. As long as we're running well, I'm happy. What are we going to keep doing? We'll do some selected open races. Run the SK at Stafford. I really like Stafford a lot. I mean, such a great track, everything. It's like the kids are doing such a great job there. Every year they're doing something different.
Yeah.
They're doing such a great job, with the facility. And it's my home track. That's my track.
Well, you're one of our hometown heroes too. It was a chance encounter with the 1969 winner of the Indianapolis 500.
The crowd beginning to pay its tribute to Andretti, the young man who came to this country at the age of 14 as an immigrant from Italy. He had driven racing cars even before he came over here. This was the one he wanted more than anything else in the world. And here it comes, Mario. The checkered flag of victory. He's done it.
You want to share that with our listeners here on Modified Minute?
Yeah, Mario Andretti. He was my guy when I was watching racing, Indies or any racing. He was my guy. The Italian Mario Andretti with the accent. You know, it was like, wow, you're Italian. It's like, oh, you know, it just gives you the, you know, he gave me the itch to go. You know.
Yeah.
The guy came from the old country. I mean, built cars like out of a junkyard. You know, went racing and look who he is today. You know, that's.
It certainly, at your request, I shared the story with Mario this past May in Indianapolis. But the great quote was, well, he's not the only one that was inspired by me. Typical Mario, right?
Yeah.
Typical Mario. Finally, every team has a notebook. And as I watch you during practice, and I asked your son about this, that he says you take copious notes. You've got everything down there. And I said, well, who gets to keep the notebook? And I sense that maybe there's a little bit of a pull and a push and not necessarily, but good-naturedly, that he wants to get a look at that notebook every once in a while.
There's no secrets. They're there. The book is there. He and I know where it is. He can read it whenever he wants. He knows what we
Does
do
he know how
meeting.
to read?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, he can read. So yeah, it's there. We make our notes every week. We try to stay as consistent. If it's working, we do the same. The second we start to fall off a little bit or see something, we need to do something different. We can't just keep doing the same thing.
Well, I'm very impressed. In most of the reason why is, John, you're kind of self-taught. You know, you did it the right way. You did it the old-fashioned way. You did it the hard way.
You got to figure it out.
Exactly. And you guys continue to do that. And I appreciate your visiting with me tonight. And we will see you at Stafford on Friday night.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You know, Noah Corner has won a number of Legends National Championships. He's also an SK winner at the Stafford Speedway. So let's throttle down with Corner.
This is Throttle Down Time, where you get to ride along inside a modified. Brought to you by Waddell's Communications, your Northeast trackside dealer for radios and repair. You ride this week with Noah Corner in last weekend's SK Modified Casella Waste 80 at the Stafford Speedway.
We'll wave him off down the front checkup, 57 around the grass up to, give us a read here quick.
Stick tight in and then just free center off.
Free center off?
Yes, sir.
Getting worse?
Yes, sir.
I hate to put you in the back with all this shit, bud. If you can think of something that's going to make it better, fucking pit and drive back up through the field. You're going to get another yellow here. Everyone's already fucking pit.
What do you think, Donnie?
Yeah, we missed our opportunity just then.
Think about it. Think about what can help us in and give me drive center off.
There's not one thing that does both of them. The only thing I can do is give you more drive off. You can put a little bit of rear brake in. I'm sure you're trying.
Oh no, I'm putting front into it so that it's looped in.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. It's looped in, loose center, looped off. My bad on the feedback.
Oh, okay. Shit, I wish I knew that. There's a lot of guys sitting still.
Oh, just deal with it. Wait for the next caution.
10-4, just plan for what you're going to do the next time. I'll give you a read on a scale of 1 to 10 the next caution.
Yeah, I mean, out here, there's not much we can do. I'm going to drop the Panhard bar.
So you're a 6-year-old and your cousins race cars. It would make sense that you'd want to do likewise, right? Well, that's the case with this week's SK Soundings guest, Vinny Rappoccio. Let's meet him.
This is SK Soundings, news from the SK, Crate, and SK Lights. SK Soundings is brought to you by Wheeler's Auto Services, the finest in top-level automobile makes and models specializing in European, Japanese, and domestic vehicles.
Vinny, welcome to the Modified Minute.
Thank you very much, Jack.
So I'm scrolling through race results on Race Monitor about a month ago, and I happen upon Waterford Speedbowl, and I look at the SK Lights finish, and there's this guy, Vincent Rappoccio. And I'm like, well, Rappoccio is like a root. It's a very unique name. So there's got to be a connection to Sign Pro and your dad. And I happened to mention to him, and he says, oh, yeah, he's racing in the SK Lights. How did all of that come about, pal?
Yeah, so I definitely grew up at Waterford, watching Corey and Dana. Those are my cousins, Corey and Dana DiMatteo, and they always started in Bandoleros, and then they went to Legends, and from there went to SK Lights and SKs, and now they're running the tour. And I remember going every weekend as a kid and just watching them race Legends, and it was just like, hey, Dad, like, when can I get in? I can't reach the pedals yet, but I want to get in. And we rented the track one day, as a family, and all the cousins got to drive the cars, but I was too short and I couldn't drive. So they let me drive in the parking lot, and they put some pillows behind me so I could reach the pedals. And I still remember that to this day. And I always kept asking Pete, when, my dad, when can we start racing? When can we start racing? And he was always just like, we can't do it because once we start, we're going to go full in, and we're going to show up with a stacker and an extra car, extra parts. And I think we finally got him to rip the Band-Aid off. And we started doing karts last year at Stafford. It was definitely a learning curve. And those cars are hard to drive. And you don't expect them, but they're definitely harder than the SK Light this year. And there was some good competition last year. And once we got on the track last year and just figured out we love the sport, we love the people, we love the community, and we want to be a part of it, we wanted to take it to Waterford just because that's where we grew up. It's a wonderful track. I love the track, and it's open. It's 2 lanes. You can pass on the bottom. You can pass on the top. It's just so much fun, and I can't thank my parents enough for letting me get into this, and my family and my cousins for starting this. So yeah,
Well,
that's how I got into it.
One thing about the Manaforts and the Rappoccios and the DiMatteos is when they go into something, they do go all in without question. But that's quite the jump to go from the Monday night karts to an SK Light. Now, granted, at Waterford's a little bit less intimidating than a half mile. And you just mentioned it was harder to run the kart than it is to race this SK Light.
That's my opinion. I mean, you have suspension in SK Light. You don't have suspension in the karts. So every bump you feel, every bump hits your back, and it hurts way more than SK Light. And SK Light's got power steering, feels like a real car, and you move around the track. Whereas, the karts kind of just felt like it was one line.
So in the midst of this racing legacy that you grew up in, you also had the requirement that you had to go off to college. You had to get yourself an education.
Yep.
And just about a month ago, you finally got that diploma from the University of Connecticut. My question to you, we'll talk a little bit about what you majored in, but my question to you is, how many of your fellow students at UConn knew what your secret passion was and what you did on weekends?
I don't think a lot, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people knew. Definitely So I raced karts my junior year of college in the summer, and it's very low key. I don't think all my friends do. I kind of came back, and once we decided on the SK Light, that was kind of when I told everyone, hey, we're going to be driving this car this year. And all my friends just got so excited. And I have iRacing simulator up at school. I mean, I was on it every day. All my friends trying it out. They were like, hey, this is harder than it thinks. This is harder than it looks.
It is.
And, I don't know. It always came somewhat easier to me.
Well, you had good teachers,
100%.
top to bottom, and
and Dan are
they're the best. They're two of the best. They certainly burned up the racetrack at Stafford in Legends cars, and as you alluded to, at Waterford. And I remember when their dad said the most difficult thing was when one won and one lost, the long ride back home, because there was one happy camper and there was one that just wanted to go back to work and find out how he could be better.
Yeah, 100%.
So we're about maybe into the first month of you being behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
As you develop your racecraft, where do you think you need to improve?
I think I definitely need to improve just on seat time and getting comfortable making moves. Because definitely this past month, getting more comfortable every time I drive the car, and definitely feeling the difference on adjustments and feeling where I like it, what line I like. But then in the race, you kind of just, I don't want to say it goes all out the window, but you're kind of just relying on your reactions and not really thinking too much.
Well,
So
that's the critical part of developing a racecraft, though.
Yeah.
When it becomes muscle memory and you don't have to think about it, that's when you can check that box and move on to something else.
Yeah. So definitely focusing on that and trying to make moves when it's the right time and not trying to be too impatient. Definitely trying to be patient, pick off when I can, and especially in the SK Light division, just trying to look out for wrecks, because we all know how the SK Light division is.
Well, what do you expect? Come on, Vinny. It's an entry level series where people like you develop their racecraft, develop the skill set. So, I've always looked and said, the guys that excel in the SK Lights, when they make the jump, whether it's to a tour type modified or to an SK, they've had the good training, and less often than before, it's you have success in the SK Lights, and then your helicopter dad or your uncle or your mom or your whomever, your friends say, oh, we need to go SK racing, or we need to go run the Monaco Modified Tour, long before everything that you do behind the wheel is second nature.
Yeah.
When you first got on the track, and I think it was the first night I saw the race results, you had a podium finish, dude.
Yeah. I think I said it in my interview. I think I said, you don't want to be standing on a podium on day one, because then you got nothing to look forward to. But we did have a pretty good start to the season, and I love that I had such a great start, but I wouldn't have minded a worse start. You know what I mean? It's hard to live up to 2 second places in a row as your first 2 races.
Not too shabby, but you got to pass cars. You got to learn how to go from the back. You got to learn how to be a little bit like Ted Christopher was. And, if you want to make friends, then go to summer camp. You need to become a little bit like Dale Earnhardt and, show some intimidation to others. Are you looking forward to getting to the point where you got a great America 250 hat on right now, to where when you get in the cockpit of the car, people look at you and say, he's the man. He's the guy we've got to beat?
I mean, I wouldn't shoot for that right now, because I don't think I'm trying to make too many enemies on the track. Definitely trying
Good move in year one. Yeah. Good move. Yeah.
Definitely trying to take it easy. I don't want to ruffle any feathers right now. I'm not trying to pick any fights with anyone. Just trying to finish the race clean and in one piece, to be honest, this year.
I've known your dad from when he was about your age.
Yeah.
And, he's always had this abiding passion and a love affair with modified racing. And he's been very successful with the Sign Pro. I remember when he just had his first die cut decal maker, and yet he, I think, always lived vicariously through his relatives that were doing it out on the racetrack. So my question to you, as you said, he has a tendency to go all in, and now you got to get a stacker, you got to have this, you got to have that. But when he's at the racetrack, I see him lit up. I mean, when you talk about pride, when you pull back into the pits with that trophy for second place, what did he say to you?
My dad just gave up. He came up screaming, "Yeah, let's go!" And then,
well, he's not emotional at all, is he? Right.
No, but then my brother was getting a little emotional, and yeah, it was cool to see both sides of it. You know, the emotional side and then the happy side.
So, how long do you think you want to stay in SK Lights?
I think as long as it takes until I'm ready to jump up. I'm not trying to move up too quickly, and I'm just really trying to hone my racecraft.
This is a self-serving question because, as you know, my family owns the Stafford Motor Speedway.
Yep.
So when are we going to see, the headhunter, Vinny Rappoccio, give it a stab in the SK Lights at Stafford?
That might be a question for Pete. Because
well, I'll work him over. All right, I'll work him over on your behalf. All right.
I think, Jack, if you guys let spotters for one race, I would be there within. But I just think that, with the experience that I have, and it's not a lot without a spotter, is kind of just jumping into the deep water right away.
Who spots for you down at Waterford?
Dana, and
he's the best.
I think Dana's one of the best spotters probably in the state. I mean, I've listened to him spot for Corey growing up my whole life, and honestly, listened to him since I was so young. I can already I know his lingo and his terminology, so it just feels natural. And he's a driver, so he knows what the car does, and he knows what adjustments to make in the car.
Well, before I let you go, we talked about graduation. You got your diploma now from the University of Connecticut. My question is, what are you going to do with it?
So I got my marketing degree from University of Connecticut, and I am taking that to Sign Pro and going to be working with the family business. My mom, my dad, and my brother all work there, and it really truly is a family business, and we're just trying to make it the best sign company and just cultural community that Sign Pro can get. And I just think being at Sign Pro, being around the family, I'm finally back home and just ready for the race season, ready to keep going. We learn something every week. Learned a lot of stuff last week, and we have a week off this week. So get the car tuned up, dialed in, and we'll be back the week after next.
If people don't know about Sign Pro, I would urge them to go and take a look, because one of the wonderful things that your family has done is they're not just a business entity. They have embraced the community, and not just the racing community, but the community where the business is established, and what your family gives back to those that maybe have less, I think is a perfect case study of how you can pay something forward. As I alluded to, Pete started small and just worked his way up to, it's a major enterprise. And I'm glad you decided to go into the family business.
Of course. I've wanted to go into the family business since I've been 12. Been working there every summer with my brother. Just it feels like home. So,
and think about the great part is when you were 12, you weren't getting a check. Now,
yeah, I know.
Now you got withholding. You've got your 401k. You got all the
bonuses,
good stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Now remember, you got to buy tires. You got to buy fuel.
Right? Oh yeah. I got the checks are rolling in.
Hey, it's a real treat. I wish you nothing but the very best. I wish I could influence Mark and Lisa and David and Paul to put radios in the SK Lights, but I know we're going to see you sooner or later once you're ready, but I'm going to work the old man over, okay?
All right.
I'm going to be on him like a cheap suit.
Love it.
All right.
Hopefully I'll see you soon at Stafford.
You take care, my friend.
You too, Jack. Thank you for having me on.
There's domination, and then there's domination. Let's meet this week's hot dog of the week.
It's now time to reveal this week's Modified Minute Hot Dog of the Week. Someone who stood above the rest. Brought to you by Hummel Brothers, Quality Meats. The top dog in modified racing. 100% quality since 1933.
Jonathan McKennedy went to Oxford Plains Speedway with NASCAR's Whelen Modified Tour after a 37-year absence. The Chelmsford native led every session in the 150-lapper. It was all McKennedy. He had the fastest lap and led the most laps to become the first double winner this season.
John McKennedy is quiet, but not on the racetrack as he pulls away on the restart.
White flag is out, 1 lap to go. Jonathan McKennedy looking for the win in the All-State Materials Group 150 at Oxford.
There's no question about it. He led the majority of the laps. He was the fastest car in practice, but the record books will show today's event. Now into the record books for the running here at Oxford Plains, and John McKennedy has taken down the impressive.
You know, we definitely had a little advantage. I've raced here a bunch over the years, and a lot of these guys never seen the place. And it's a very line-sensitive track. There's no markings out there. It's wide. Your perception is challenging here as far as lift points. And so definitely laps here and experience definitely helps. So that all paid off.
Congratulations goes out to Jonathan. You are this week's Modified Minute Hot Dog of the Week. Andrew Molleur has come up through the ranks following in his father Mike's footsteps. He was winning SK modified races because Andrew Molleur has come up through the ranks following in his father Mike's footsteps. He was winning SK modified races before he could even earn his driver's license. His life is racing, and we visit with him in this week's Racer Spotlight.
It's Racer Spotlight time. Brought to you by Riverhead Building Supply. Build better. Build stronger.
Well, joining me now is Andrew Molleur, who is a track champion at the Stafford Motor Speedway in the SK division. Before that, was one of the youngest drivers to ever win a modified race, an SK race, when he wasn't even old enough to drive. So take that, Paulie Hartwig III. Andrew, good of you to join us. You're back on the Whelen Modified Tour, and while you're not eligible for the Rookie of the Year award, this is your first full-time season with them. How's it been going?
Yeah, first and foremost, thank you, Jackie, for having me on here. You know, it's awesome. It's just being on the tour is great. You know, it's just like it's a dream for us racers, us modified racers in Connecticut, but especially in New England. Just that's kind of like our Cup Series. I always say that's like the top level for us. We know how hard it is for us to get to like that, you know, truck and O'Reilly's Cup level. So like getting to the tour is like, you know, you feel like you've made it here in New England. So just to be able to be a part of that with Danny Watts Racing, took a chance on me and gave me the opportunity to be on his race team this year is just it's a dream come true. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty awesome. So I'm very, very happy to be a part of it.
You know, it's a resurrection for Danny. He had, you know, so many Whelen Modified Tour wins with so many great drivers like the late, great Ted Christopher, and then decided that, well, he'd had enough. And then lo and behold, you and your dad come along, and you convince him to get the old car out of the barn, and you've been doing quite well.
Yeah, I think Danny probably finally got sick of all my dad's Facebook and text messages to pull that car out of the garage and let us drive it. So we, you know, honestly, I think, you know, Danny had, you know, some plans to do something this year with a different driver. It just didn't really work out. Yeah. And it just so happened that, you know, we kind of had been like, hey, let us know if there's any opportunities. And lo and behold, you know, here we are. You know, it's just, I guess it was meant to be, right? You know, sometimes some things in racing and even just in life are just not meant to be. And this one was. So to be able to work with Danny to kind of bring him out of retirement, just the respect that everybody has for him in the garage area on the tour. I mean, from the officials to just the drivers to the teams, everybody, no matter where we go, everyone just has the utmost respect for Danny. Danny's a very down to earth type guy. He's going to tell it how it is. But he's just awesome to be around. Just really, really happy to work with him. He's got great equipment. So we're doing the best we can to bring his number 82 to the front, and we're making gains. We're going to some tracks that I've never raced the modified on, or maybe even never raced at before. So it's been a lot of fun.
It's a big jump, my friend. A track title just a couple of years ago, and now lo and behold, as you say, you're running with the big dogs. Is there, or better yet, let me rephrase that question. Have there been any surprises on your end of things? Wow, I didn't know I was going to have to deal with that. Fill in the blank.
Honestly, I mean, I think I would say, like, a lot of these guys had their big notebooks when it came to the Hoosier tires, and it almost feels like there was a great reset in a way with these new American Racer tires for a lot of these teams. So, just us trying to kind of guess on what these tires are going to do, because they've been little inconsistency with how those have been. So I guess, like, trying to figure those out a little bit. I've been, a lot more hands-on this year with our race cars too. Just we're a little bit understaffed. And so I'm not going to lie, I haven't always been the most hands-on driver as some of these other guys have been. So really just been trying to learn as much as I can this year and get more involved. So we've been working really hard on this car to get it going better each and every race. It's been fun. I keep saying it's been fun because it's just been awesome. Like, my dad raced on the Whelen Modified Tour, and growing up being a 3 or 4-year-old kid, seeing his race cars in the shop, and that was the dream. That was a dream to make it to the tour someday. So even having my dad back in the garage area and seeing a lot of the officials that he knew from when he raced on the tour is probably a full circle moment for him as well. So just grateful for sure.
I want to go back to when you first showed up. As I alluded to when I introduced you, you weren't even old enough to drive to the racetrack. And yet your dad, look, he took you through the early stages and then sat you in an SK modified and said, go do it. When you look back on the way your career has unfolded, what were the feelings when, just I'm going to say, as a youngster, you couldn't even drive on the highway, and you're out there racing against some of the very best in the Northeast?
Yeah, I think my career's kind of been in like two different phases. I think when we first started out racing cars that were more than just like a quarter midget or a go-kart, it was more of like almost a little bit of a rush, right? Like, we jumped very quickly. We raced SK Lights, we raced tour type modifieds. I was like 13, 14 years old racing these big cars against like Ryan Preece and Bron Silk, like all these guys that I'm racing with again today, but at such a young age. Like, I just didn't have the experience. I didn't have the knowledge, the racecraft to be out there. I really didn't. And so, obviously everybody knows we had the incident with the age, and kind of like took a step back after that and said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to race SK Lights for a full season. We're going to see how we do with that. We ended up second in points, won a few races in 2017, raced SK Lights full time at Stafford in 2018. In the 2019, we raced an SK. So we decided we were going to slow it down a little bit and then kind of work our way up, which honestly probably is what saved my racing career, because if we just kept trying to rush along and seeing how far we could go at such a young age, it just would have probably died out for all of us. We would have spent way too much money, way too much time, and not gotten the results we wanted. And I'm just grateful that we kind of took a step back, and by we, I mean my father, and just decided to slow down a little bit and focus on the opportunities we had at hand, and kind of seeing what the future held. So obviously grateful for that. I think that's kind of what saved my career a little bit, and also helped me as a driver too.
Well, it certainly helped when you won the track championship in the SK Modified division. I think before then the jury might have still been out, but when you took that title, that certainly established you as one of the upper level modified shoes, whether it's in an SK or in a tour type modified or an open modified. Tell me a little about that season and just what it meant to you and the team that you were tied in together with.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was just a special year, right? I got given an opportunity in a car where there had been a lot of guys that were really successful. I mean, Tyler Hines drove that car,
Yep.
won like their first ever race in that car. They went out and won. I was in that field that day, probably running like 15th or 12th or something like that. And I'm like, wow, like what I would do to drive that car, what I would do to drive that car right now, just how fast they were. They were always so up front every single week, and it didn't work out with him. Brian Narducci drove the car, also had success. Jimmy Blewett drove the car, also had success. Everybody had success. I mean, their worst finish until I started driving that car at the Spring Sizzler, I think was second or third. I got in that car. I got given the opportunity in 2024. So during the offseason 2023, we decided, okay, we're going to make this all happen. Got the opportunity. And I was so nervous going to the Spring Sizzler, and I finished fifth. And I was so disappointed in myself. I gave them their worst finish at the Spring Sizzler in their 4 seasons of being around. And just like the comments I saw on Facebook, even before and after, of, oh, this kid's not ready to drive this car. He's not as good as the guys that drove it in the past. Like, all these comments were just like fuel to my fire. Like, I saw all those comments. I saw what everybody was saying, and I had a lot of people that supported me too. And it just helped kind of fuel my fire all throughout the summer. We finally broke through and won that race kind of later in the back half of the season.
Deep down, low, off the turn. Molleur brings them back to the line.
Andrew Molleur, your points leader, scores win number 1 for 2024.
And we were so consistent all year, though. I mean, that's kind of I feel like gets a little overlooked. Like, we stayed so consistent, and that is why we were able to have such a buffer at the end of the season to actually win that championship. And then that kind of that walk-off win at the fall final in 2024 was probably one of my favorite wins of all time. Just the points were closing up. The 82, Mike Christopher Jr. was closing in, and it was getting, everybody was anxious. We were having a tire issue that day. We went out and we won that race, and I felt like I was on top of the world. So what a season with those guys, right? I mean, I'm not with them anymore, the Petty Cash Motorsports folks, but just to drive that race car and to win them a championship and to win a championship for myself, I mean, what's better than that?
Well, what is better than that is if you win on the Modified Tour, which is on the horizon. And in many ways, Andrew, I was fortunate enough to watch you grow up, watch you acquire the skill set. But you have also become quite a spokesperson for what I call the young guns. We were starting especially in the Modified Tour, we were starting to see the graying of the driver roster. Not that they're old farts, because nobody's as old as I am, but by the same token, we needed an infusion of youth. And whether it's you, Stephen Kopsick, Paulie Hartwig III, all of a sudden, the young guns are making noise in the Whelen Modified Tour. And I think this is my opinion, that bodes very, very well for the future of the Mod Squad in the coming decade.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I say it a lot. I feel like, I don't know why, it just feels like there's less and less young guys coming up through, and, racing is so expensive, and it's hard, it's just hard to you got to have a good group of guys behind you. You got to have good equipment. I mean, all the equipment now is so close, so it's so much harder to win races and get yourself out there. And social media is so important. There's so many things that are a part of being able to climb the ladder and get to the next step. But yeah, it's great. There's, obviously we have Austin Beers, we've got Stephen Kopchick, we've got Paulie Hartwig, we've got myself, right? We're the kind of the younger squad there trying to come up through and make a name for ourselves. Some of those guys already have, and some of us are still working at that. But, it's like this for me. Some people in my life, as of in the past, have said, hey, this racing thing might, it's a fad or it's a phase. Once you grow out of it, you can start to focus on, your real life and build. And it's like, for me, this is a lifestyle. This isn't a hobby. This isn't a fad this is a lifestyle. I don't know anything but this. I mean, I race on the weekends, and then I sell racing parts and everything to do with racing during the week. So it's like, I don't know what I would do with my life if it wasn't for this sport. I mean, all the people I know, everybody is all because of this sport. So I've lived this sport for my entire life. I plan on doing it for as long as I can. I can't race forever, but I do want to be a part of it for the rest of my life, whether it's doing what you're doing or helping out younger guys coming up through, whatever it may be. I love the sport. It's just it's everything I know.
Well, as I tell people, I haven't ever had a real job. Basically, I get to live my passion 24/7, 365, and cover racing from the top to to the Monday night go-karts, and it's all the same. Listen, I wish you nothing but the very best. I know that checkered flag on the tour is forthcoming. You got plenty of races left, and you're going to some places that you have some intimate knowledge on. There's this one that's back. I think it's Waterford Speedway.
Sounds familiar. Sounds familiar.
It kind of rings a bell. Andrew, thanks so much for joining us today, and look forward to seeing you at the racetrack.
Thanks, Jack. Appreciate you having me.
As I said at the top of the show, I'm honored to welcome Mr. Reuter as the new sponsor of Either Or. And this week in the quiz chair is Glenn Reen, driver of the SK Avery Construction number 10A.
It's Either Or, where our guest must choose one or the other. Brought to you by Mr. Reuter Plumbing. Expert plumbing contractors you can trust.
All right, Glenn is a glutton for punishment. He was on Modified Minute, and now he is volunteered. Well, I should say he was pushed forward into participating in Either Or. Reen, you are a glutton for punishment, but are you ready?
Bring it on, brother.
All right, either sushi or chicken fingers.
I like sushi. Although I do like chicken fingers. I'm going to say sushi.
Wow, good for you. How about the old-style modifieds with the coupe bodies and the original Pinto bodies, etc., or the new-style modifieds?
I love the new modifieds, don't get me wrong, but I have that big respect for the old ones, but I'm going to have to say, like when I started in 06, it's a little bit different than now, so I picked the newer ones over now, but I even like the newer style, like when I started, that's like my vintage, if I'm going to call it, because that's when I started, you know what I mean? But yeah, I'm going to have to pick newer over.
Look, wouldn't you welcome the opportunity to drive a 427 fuel-injected, fire-breathing 37 Chevrolet Coupe with little M&H tires on it?
And drum brakes?
Yeah. I mean, those were the guys that lived by the grace of God in 800 horsepower.
Yeah, that's all back when men were men and the women were too.
And sheep were terrified.
Exactly.
Bull rings or big tracks?
Are we talking like mile and a half, or like?
No, I'm talking about in modified racing. So you'd max out at the mile. Stafford and Thompson would be considered big tracks.
Yeah, then big tracks.
Yeah.
Okay. I love anything half mile and up. Don't get me wrong, I love quarter mile, but you can never get into a rhythm. It's every 5 or 6 laps and something happens. But yeah, like half mile to me, 5/8, even up to a mile in the modified it's just so amazing. Those cars they're awesome. Like I hate it and I love it. Like I jump into the other car, the Xfinity car, and I'm like, like this is almost gonna get there. All right, here we go. And I don't know if I told you in the other one, we got back to Stafford after Watkins, right?
Yeah.
I ran Stafford, jumped to Watkins, and I literally came over to the radio after turn 1, and I was like, this thing sucks. I was like...
How did you really feel?
Yeah, I was like, Joey, I'm like, I just drove a modified last night. I'm like, this car is horrible. You know?
All right, let's move.
This car, it was just, that's what they get to be 1,000 pounds heavier.
They call them tanks for a reason. All right, next question in either or. Chrome or powder coat?
I love it.
Me too, but...
And I can't afford it, so powder coat.
Okay. And finally, in the either or department, Blake Sheldon or Gwen Stefani?
Are we talking Gwen Stefani from like No Doubt, or are we talking Gwen Stefani now?
Whatever Gwen Stefani you want to
I'm gonna have to
visualize
go back to No Doubt.
and fantasize, okay?
That was our jam back in the day. Punk rock, you know?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, let's say that.
Well, I don't see any bruises on you, so I think you came through unscathed.
She's waiting for me.
Okay. Thanks so much for being part of Either Or.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for being on.
Well, that puts a lid on this week. My thanks go out to my guests, John Raffrano, Vinny Rappoccio, Andrew Molleur. Be sure to hit the subscription button, okay? And help me grow the show. I'm Jack Arute. Join me next week when we dive into the world of modified racing, right here on the Modified Minute.
This has been the Modified Minute. Modified Minute has been brought to you by Waddell Communications, the official trackside radio supplier for the Mod Squad, by Midstate Site Development, safety, knowledge, and innovation, by Wheeler's Auto Services, the finest in top-level service of premier automobile makes and models, by Hummel Brothers Quality Meats, 100% quality since 1933, by Riverhead Building Supply, Build Smarter, Build Better, by Mr. Rooter Plumbing, expert plumbing contractors you can trust, by Sign Pro, exceeding your expectations, and by Ferguson Contractors, building excellence since 1925. Video provided by NASCAR, Monaco Tri-Track, NESTN, Race Day CT, and Flow Racing. Want to get in touch with us? It's easy. Email us with your comments and suggestions. Our email address is modifiedminute@gmail.com, or you can instant message us at Modified Minute. Video versions of the Modified Minute are available on YouTube and Facebook. Be sure to subscribe to both and grow the show.